This is the first video on hopefully a longer series about kind of exploring spirituality through a modern lens. I hope to cover more philosophies and more schools of thought and more faiths, but I think for now I'm just going to keep it to the Bhagavad Gita because that's what I feel most equipped to digest and to explain to the Western view. I've noticed on YouTube or any sort of website or blog post, it's becoming increasingly hard to find resources and educational videos about spirituality that is catered to people like me, of Gen Z, growing up in the States, dealing with this hectic world that we live in, especially in the States. We all find ourselves getting more and more depressed after the pandemic and all these sort of things. And so after reading the Bhagavad Gita and really analyzing it for going on a year now, I think I'm comfortable enough where I can, give my 2 cents on what I think. So this video is about passion, but I want to backtrack and talk about pride. In this modern world, in this day and age, pride is looked at as a virtue. It's looked at as something good. Many times, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of my kids, I'm proud of my parents, I'm proud of, X, Y, and Z for doing such a great thing. Hell, you're even told that, hey, be proud of yourself, you did this. But, if you look at biblical teachings, pride is a sin, right? Pride is a something that gets you caught up into, devilish, sinful activities of being absorbed with yourself, taking on the archetype that you are above God or you are above the supreme nature. I think that kind of message resonates with what I'm about to talk about, but I always found that interesting, and I think letting that linger and soak in would be very helpful. But in the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm going to skip all the ideas of, the mythology and the actual spiritual essence. I'm only going to focus on the philosophy because I think that's more palpable for every audience. But Krishna, who speaks the Bhagavad Gita, who is the literal incarnation of the Supreme, talks about the three modes of nature that humans tend to fall into. And, you has ignorance, passion, and last but not least, goodness. Now, I think ignorance is something we can all understand, we can all condemn. That's not very unreasonable to understand, right? Those who are ignorant individuals don't feel a care for one another. They don't see their place in the universe. They, see the idea that, we're all just on some floating rock and it doesn't matter anything. There's no morals, there's no facts, we're all just, piles of meat floating around. Those are the people who are ignorant, right? The people who don't care, who don't see things beyond a very egotistical, selfish kind of view. Obviously, for histories and I think from your own recollection, having this sort of mindset is not helpful whatsoever. But then Krishna talks about the mode of passion, the passionate nature, and he condemns this. And at first glance, when you first read it, I'm like, why the hell would you say that? Passion is something that's good. I'm passionate about a lot of things. I have a lot of interests. I have a lot of hobbies that make me who I am, and they bring joy to my life. Why the hell would you say passion is a state, a mode of being that is something looked down upon? But if you actually read what he says, he talks about passion in a way that is very interesting. A lot of people are swept up in multiple passions, not just, sports or hobbies or things like that. Think about passions of wanting to be well known, passions of wanting a lot of money, passions of, wanting material success, pleasure emotions. I find it interesting, and I had a conversation with my buddy about this, about, why is it that the best feelings in our life, let's say, you got a great text back, or, you're getting ready for a date or something like that. Why is that feeling so small and doesn't last nearly as long as the pain that suffers, the pain that goes through your life. There's a lot of people who have lost loved ones in their lives, and that pain extends far beyond, their marriage, their wedding, when they graduated, when they got a dream job. I find it interesting that the things that we want to pursue in life, the quote unquote senses of happiness, last way less longer than the sense of sadness, the ones that really put us down. And that's what the root of what Krishna is trying to talk about, is that we have these desires, and the material mode of passion is one who is attached to these desires. My life is not going to be complete until I achieve X thing. My life is not full. I'm not a full person unless I have a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever it is. My life is not complete until I, you know, win the lottery or do this or win the jackpot. That's kind of how it is. I think the mode of passion is best represented by gamblers. Very passionate about the game that they play. Always, always, always keep going, keep going, keep going till I hit the jackpot. And you find remarkably, once they hit the jackpot, if they even do, they'll keep betting more money. And that's the passion that Krishna alludes to. Now, I understand when most people refer to passion, they don't mean, passion in its totality, in its microscopic level, as Krishna discusses. But that's the passion he's talking about. That getting attached to these falsehoods, these material, temporary pleasures is not something you should look for. Instead, the place you should look to is the mode of goodness. And what is the mode of goodness? The mode of goodness is basically the idea that the action itself should be its own reward. So that is what distinguishes, plain and simple, between the mode of goodness and the mode of passion. Passionate individuals in this context are ones who are so drawn and attached to the idea of the consequences of my actions. Whereas the people who are in the mode of goodness, they're doing the actions just because they're the right thing to do, and that alone is its own reward. And he details this in chapter 14, verse 25. He goes, "He who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature." So in a nutshell, what he's basically saying is this idea of attachment. We wake up in the morning and we are so bound to chasing these ideas of happiness. I want, maybe it's like food, maybe it's a drug, maybe it's a chemical, maybe it's a feeling, a reward, something like that. Every day we wake up chasing more and more and more. And what you find, especially in this modern age, social media has become that place of just scroll and scroll until I find something funny or I find something pleasurable. If I swipe on Hinge and find someone that I find attractive, and then immediately back to the cycle, back to the grind, you know what I'm saying? So that idea of, and this I think applies most to people who are my age, who are entering this rat race sort of field, to detach yourself from this idea that it's me versus all these people to my left and to my right. Instead, it's, I'm not going to look to my left or my right. I'm just going to look forward, right? The idea is that this rat race is not something I'm going to be eluded by and elusively conditioned to. I'm going to find my own, my duty. I'm going to find my own nature of goodness, and find your strength, find your weakness. It's okay to have desires. We all have desires, but the differentiator is, are you going to let your desires affect you, and are you going to get attached to them? If you don't win at life, whatever winning seems to be to you, are you going to let that get you down? If you succeed in life and succeed in a goal, are you gonna move on very quickly? The answer is probably yes. So the idea is detaching yourself from this material sort of illusionary nature and riding on the train of goodness. That, you know, life and all of its pursuits are good simply because they are, and that is enough for me to be satiated and satisfied. And you'll find that the most successful people are the ones who realize this. I was watching Magnus Carlsen on Joe Rogan, number one chess player of all time, arguably. For him, Joe Rogan asked him, "What's the differentiator?" And he said, "Chess is, I find enjoyment. Some people, sure, they're passionate about it and they won't stop studying it, but do you find enjoyment? Do you find, you know, goodness in it? Do you find that you can do good with it? The art, the learning of playing chess supersedes any trophy or any recognition. That's what's going to take you farther in life." And with that being said, I've been rambling on way too long. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll continue this series. But yeah, thank you for watching.